Hello, and a warm welcome to Reddit Echo.
I've always been a seeker. When the world gets quiet and people start whispering about things that go bump in the night, my ears perk up. I'm not a believer by default, but I'm a professional when it comes to curiosity. A friend says their attic is haunted. I'm the first one volunteering for a sleepover. Someone reports a strange creature in the woods. My friends and I are there with cameras and flashlights, hoping to catch a glimpse of the unknown. For years, I've chased these shadows. I've sat in the dark in abandoned asylums, hiked through forests rumored to be home to things that shouldn't exist. And for all my efforts, I found precisely nothing. No cold spots, no disembodied voices, no eerie figures, nothing but dust, silence, and my own disappointment. I was starting to think the supernatural was just a story we tell ourselves in the dark. But that was before the china cabinet. That was before I learned that sometimes the thing you're looking for finds you first. It was a completely ordinary evening about a month ago. I was heading over to my girlfriend Lisa's house. We'd been together for a while, and her place was familiar, comfortable. I knew the squeak in the third step of the staircase, the way the refrigerator hummed in the kitchen, the particular scent of her family's home. It was my second home. But the moment I stepped into the living room that night, I stopped dead. Something was wrong. The air felt different, thicker, heavier, like walking into a room where all the oxygen had been replaced with something stagnant and cold. A low primal alarm bell started ringing in the back of my mind. It was a feeling of deep unease, a sense of being unwelcome. My eyes scanned the room, and they landed on it immediately. The old, friendly bookshelf was gone. In its place stood a massive, imposing china cabinet. It was a hulking piece of furniture, nearly 6 feet tall, made of dark, almost black wood that seemed to absorb the light from the room. "Oh, that," Lisa said, following my gaze. "That was my grandmother's. She passed a few months ago, and my mom finally brought it over from her estate." I tried to nod and act normal, but the feeling was intensifying. I'd never met her grandmother. She had been bedridden in a hospital long before I came into the picture. There was no reason for me to have any connection to her or her belongings. Yet, being near this cabinet was like standing at the edge of a grave. A profound, inexplicable sadness washed over me, mixed with a sharp, electric anxiety that made the hairs on my arms stand up. It was more than just a creepy piece of furniture. It felt like the cabinet itself was a container for a deep, lingering sorrow. We sat on the couch, but I was on edge. My focus wasn't on the movie we were about to watch. It was on that dark monolith across the room. I could feel it, a silent, watchful presence. "You okay?" Lisa asked, noticing my tension. "You're being weirdly quiet." "It's this cabinet," I admitted, my voice lower than I intended. "It's giving me the worst vibe. I just feel awful being near it." She gave a gentle, dismissive laugh. "It's just an old cabinet, babe. You're probably just freaking yourself out because it was my grandma's." She squeezed my hand and stood up. "I'll be right back, just going to the bathroom." The moment she left the room, the atmosphere became suffocating. The silence was no longer peaceful. It was anticipatory. I was alone with it. My skeptic's mind warred with my gut instinct. "Prove it," I thought. "Go look at it. It's just wood and glass." I stood up and walked towards the cabinet, my footsteps sounding too loud in the heavy silence. It was a detailed piece. Ornate carvings that looked like gnarled tree roots or clutching hands. 2 solid wooden doors flanked the sides, but the front was a single large pane of glass, revealing the treasures within. Delicate china teacups, their patterns faded with time. Small porcelain baby dolls with fixed, glassy stares. And lining the back of the entire cabinet was a large, aged mirror, its surface speckled and cloudy, giving everything it reflected a distorted, dreamlike quality. I peered inside, examining the dolls. Their eyes seemed to track me. I felt a chill. And then my eyes flicked up to the mirror. I could see the reflection of the room behind me, murky and dark. And there, just over my own shoulder, was a shape. A tall, dark, humanoid silhouette. It wasn't me. I was looking at my own reflection in the glass. This was behind me. My blood turned to ice. I spun around, my heart hammering against my ribs. The room was empty. "Sarah!" I called out, my voice cracking. "Are you out here? This isn't funny." That scream was not a joke. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated terror. It was Lisa. Every thought vanished from my head, except one. Get to her. I sprinted across the living room and down the hall, slamming into the bathroom door. "Lisa! Open the door!" I heard a fumbling. Then the lock clicked. The door swung open. She was crumpled on the floor, her back against the bathtub, her face buried in her hands, her body racked with sobs. "What happened? Are you hurt?" I demanded, dropping to my knees beside her. She looked up, her face pale and streaked with tears, her eyes wide with a horror I will never forget. I saw someone," she stammered, her voice trembling uncontrollably. "In the mirror, right behind me. It was an old woman, and she was smiling." We didn't need to discuss it. We didn't grab phones, shoes, or jackets. We just ran. We burst out the front door into the cold night air, our bare feet slapping against the concrete, and didn't stop until we were locked inside my car. I started the engine and peeled away from the house, driving with no destination, just putting as much distance as possible between us and whatever was in that living room. I drove for nearly an hour, the heater on full blast, both of us shivering from adrenaline and cold. We were silent, trapped in our own private replays of the horror. Eventually, we had to turn around. We couldn't run forever. As I pulled back onto her street, a new wave of dread washed over me. The house was dark, but the porch light was on. And there, sitting on the front steps, was Lisa's mom. She was just sitting there, hugging her knees, staring blankly into the night. We got out of the car and approached slowly. "Mom?" Lisa asked, her voice fragile. "What are you doing out here? It's freezing." Her mother looked up, and the expression on her face confirmed everything. It was a mask of pure, exhausted fear. "I couldn't stay in there," she whispered, her voice hollow. "After you two left, the shadows. They wouldn't stop moving. In every room." We didn't go back in that night. They stayed at a hotel. The following week, the china cabinet was unceremoniously moved to the garage, and shortly after, it was sold. I went my whole life as a skeptic, actively seeking proof of the paranormal. I wanted to believe. But this was different. I wasn't the hunter anymore. I was the prey. This wasn't a faint whisper or a cold spot. It was an intelligent, malevolent presence that made itself known to 3 people simultaneously, in different parts of the house. The oppressive sadness, the silhouette, the shared vision of an old woman, it was a coordinated assault. I learned a terrifying lesson. The supernatural isn't always a ghost story you go looking for. Sometimes it's a piece of furniture that carries a terrible weight. Sometimes it's a reflection in a mirror that shows you something that shouldn't be there. And sometimes the thing you've been searching for your whole life finds you, and you realize you never really wanted to find it at all.
Don't want to lose this channel and always be up to date with new videos? Then make sure to subscribe. The story continues, and it's only getting more interesting.